Okay, so hello and welcome everyone to another chatbot feature deep dive, and today we are going to be discussing FAQs. And I think just before we dive into the features, I'll just give you a quick run through the series if you're new to it. Essentially, in our chatbot feature deep dives, these are all live streams, so I'm keeping an eye on the chat as I speak. Basically what I do is live, I just kind of discuss a different feature, go through the different elements, usually talk about the different kind of use cases and how you can actually use it within ubisend. So it's a bit of a how-to, as well as also touching on a bit of the theory side to the different chatbot practices at the same time. So as you can see on the screen at the moment, I'm just kind of within the demo section here. I can obviously just reset my chatbot, and what I'll do is I'll just head back to the basics. So today what we're doing is we're actually discussing FAQs. So FAQs are short for frequently asked questions, as we all know, and they're kind of the main premise of many chatbots and many chatbot platforms. An FAQ essentially is when you say a quick word to the chatbot, and then the chatbot's going to be able to run through its knowledge base or through its FAQ pool and respond with an answer. So I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration of what this actually looks like, although I'm pretty sure we're all probably quite accustomed to chatbots answering FAQs by now. But let's just go with along the lines of what are my benefits. So as you can see, this is also a HR chatbot at the moment. This is kind of a little HR chatbot use case. It's just a demo client that we have spun up. And as you can see, I've asked what the benefits are, and it's come back with my job role is entitled to Virgin Gym membership, employee healthcare, free eye tests, and flexible working 3 days per week. To read more about these benefits, I can then click on this, and I'll be taken off through to a different document. So if I just click here now, as you can see, I've now just downloaded the different benefits documents, which is always good and always handy. So that's kind of roughly what an FAQ actually is. And now throughout this kind of the rest of this live stream, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be discussing how FAQs actually work, how to set one up within the ubisend platform, how to kind of edit an FAQ once you've already got one set up, so the different ways of editing the questions or the answers that it gives, and also a few of the different ways that you can use FAQs to best serve your users, whether it's HR, customer service, sales, legal, IT, literally could be pretty much anything. So I'm going to try and keep it quite vague. For the majority of this time I'm going to be using HR as an example, so you might have to just kind of try and imagine things in a use case, but I'm going to be doing my best to kind of discussing different use cases as I go through. And as I did mention as well, this is a live stream, so you may be watching it live. If so, hello, great to see you on board. And also you may as well be watching it on demand. So if you are watching it on demand, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because we regularly do these live streams and you want to be able to ask the questions in real time ideally. And also as well, we release a huge wave of different kind of chatbot content, not always on live stream, sometimes just regular YouTube uploads. So it's a great place for you to learn more about chatbot technology, and also as well a great place for you to stay up to date with the ubisend platform, as we're kind of leading the way a little bit, so we're making sure that you can always be up to date with the newest and most exciting features. Anyway, that's enough of the kind of housekeeping sorted. Let's kind of dive straight in. So I've already kind of shown off what an FAQ is. Let's actually now just spend a little bit of time just kind of discussing how they actually work. So FAQs, depending upon the chatbot, usually work in kind of a similar way. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of depth about how the, say, natural language processing works and different kind of intents and all of this, but instead I'm actually going to kind of discuss how they work within ubisend. So there's two different ways that you can have an FAQ working within ubisend. One of them is either through pulling from information from a knowledge base, and this is going to be a separate feature deep dive that we're going to do, so I'm not going to talk about it in a huge amount of detail. But as you can see here, as if I just head over into knowledge, then we've got this little knowledge base area, and as you can see on the screen, we've got PDF, and we've also got employee handbook. So what you can do using ubisend is you can upload products, say an employee handbook, into the knowledge base. The chatbot's then going to be able to read this information and use it to respond with FAQs. So if you imagine if we were to read a book, like say on, I don't know, animal welfare, and then we go to a pub quiz and there's questions on animal welfare, we'll remember what we've read in the book and then respond with that for the pub quiz. ubisend works in a very similar way with this, we call it semantic search, and so basically what it will do is it will read the knowledge base that you've put, whether it's a website sitemap or a PDF, and it's going to be able to read this information and then respond with it within FAQs. This is a really exciting, really powerful feature, and it's something that I'm actually going to do an entirely separate deep dive on, because there's a lot within it, and there's loads that you can learn from within that. So do stick around. I believe that's probably going to be an episode in maybe 2-3 weeks or so make sure you subscribe so you get a notification of when we go live with that. But in the meantime, I'm actually going to be talking about a different way of doing FAQs, which is maybe somewhat a slightly more traditional way, and that is just within the typical FAQ section here. So as you can see in our demo account, we've already got a lot of different FAQs in, and the way it works is what you'll do is, as you can see from this example question here, you will highlight a few different ways of answering the same question. So in this one, we've got what's it like to work at ubisend. What I'll do is I'll just dive into the different questions, and as you can see, we've got 3 examples of a different way someone could ask, what is it like to work at ubisend? We've got what is it like to work at ubisend? Why should I work for ubisend? What is life like at ubisend? Just these kind of different questions. And then as well from that, we've also got our answers here. So while we wait for my internet to load up, as you can see, so this is the answer that the chatbot will respond with if someone asks a question to do with what is it like working at ubisend. Now, essentially, so what you do is you kind of input these kind of 3 basic or maybe 4 or so different variations of asking the chatbot a question, and then you add in your own answer, and then what you're going to do is you're going to train the chatbot on this question. And again, training, this is something which is quite interesting, so I'm going to do a separate feature dive after this one, so this will be next Tuesday, so in a week's time. So if you are watching live, be sure to tag on along to that. If you're watching on demand, and it's been a little while since we uploaded this, you'll be able to check out the full-on training deep dive that I'm going to be doing later on. I'll make sure to leave a link to it in the description of this once it has gone live. So essentially, the way that a chatbot training works is they have a confidence score. Again, I'm not going into too much. So if I send a message, so you can see what is it like to work at ubisend, imagine if I filled that message with typos. So I kind of misspelt ubisend, misspelt work and what is. Obviously that question is still related to this same answer, but it kind of needs the chatbot to understand that those typos, they're just typos, and that question still means this. So basically what this does is you kind of throw a load of questions. You might either say, have us do this, or you might do this differently, or maybe upload from a spreadsheet. There's quite a few different ways. And what this will do is it will understand, and then basically you tell the chatbot this question here, although it's not the exact same wording as what you can see on my screen, relates to this answer. And once you've done this quite a few times, you essentially train the chatbot so it will understand a bigger variety of questions and a bigger variety of different ways that a single question can be multiple questions can refer to a single answer. So just to make sure, I'll just kind of summarize, because sometimes when I explain this, I kind of go down a few little rabbit holes. Essentially, when you're training a chatbot, you create a few questions and then the answer, and then you write and give it more examples of a wider range of questions that all refer to that same answer, and you tell it that they do, and then it will understand, and it will kind of start to pick things up by itself and learn by itself. Artificial intelligence in all of its glory there. So that's kind of how an FAQ works within the ubisend platform. Now, there's the next thing that I'm going to be kind of talking about, and probably the main reason which you're all here, because the theory can sometimes get a little bit, not everyone's always here for the theory, but that's actually how to set up an FAQ. Really simple, really easy to do. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of do one live now. So as you can see, this is kind of HR use case. We've got hundreds of different kind of HR questions. What I'll do is I'll just have a quick guide through to make sure we're not setting something up which is already in there, because we don't want to start confusing anything or kind of adding too many variations. And I think a nice one that we're going to go with is probably going to be something to do with something about contacting IT, because obviously, although HR, they might have loads of different, depending upon your company, you might have people asking you, oh, I've got this, which is the best email for this, which is the best email for that. So we're going to have kind of a little, how do I contact IT? So what I'll do is I'll click add FAQ on the top right there. And this now brings up a huge range of different options for me. So the name, this is just internal, just so we can find it. So I'm just going to call this something simple like contact IT. So, and now we've got a list of tags, and tagging essentially makes it easier for you to filter through. So when you're managing your FAQs, imagine if you've, say, maybe got 150, 200 different FAQs in there, they'll all have their different tags, makes it much easier to manage. So say at the moment, obviously you can have every question to do with payroll. I believe that what we've got here is this is kind of a different one, because I'm kind of creating a new one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this general contact information. So this is what we're going to have a range of different FAQs for contacting different departments if someone needs to, and they're all going to come under this general contact information kind of tag. Again, this is just for internal use. So as you can see, it's just popped up there. It's just for internal use, just for easy management. Now we have the questions. So what is a different way that someone might be asking about how to contact IT? So one of them is going to be, how do I contact IT? Quite an obvious one there. How do I get in touch with IT? The question, and then maybe somebody might not be asking, they might be demanding, or so to speak, which is I need to get in touch with IT. And then I'm going to click create. So now what I've done is I've put in a few different ways, as I mentioned, of how you can actually ask this question. So what I now need to do is come up with an answer. So there's quite a few different ways I can do this. I think what I'll do at the moment is I'll just kind of type in the main, so to speak. So I'll go with IT can be reached on the following phone number. And then what I'll do is I'll just add another message bubble there just to kind of make it a little bit nicer, and I'll just make up a phone number. So, I mean, if that is I believe if it starts with 55, that means it shouldn't be a technical phone number. If it is, and someone out there is watching that, and that is your phone number, I'm very sorry. Hopefully you won't get a lot of phone calls of people asking to get in touch with IT. But so as you can see, if I now click save, what we've done is we've created our first FAQ, and it's not the most exciting FAQ. We're going to come on to making this a little bit more exciting, use a few different message types to really streamline things for your users, or in this case your employees. Obviously as well, say this kind of typical FAQ here, this is going to work for pretty much any use case, whether it's customer service, sales, IT, there's always going to be a couple about kind of getting in touch and contact, so this kind of format's always going to be fine. But as I mentioned as well, you want to make it a little bit more exciting than this. Before I do, let's just jump over into the demo section to make sure it works. So before I jump into the demo, we'll just have a quick refresh of the questions that we told it. As we haven't currently trained the chatbot yet, there's a chance that it might, if I say go with different questions, for example, what is IT's phone number, there's a chance that at this stage it won't understand that because we haven't yet trained it. What we'll do is we'll train it in the next episode so it will start to understand a wider variety. So for the time being, I'll just go with the question that I've already put in, which is, let's just say, how do I contact IT? So I'll jump over into the demo section here and I'll go, how do I contact IT with a question mark, just to make sure that everything's kind of working. And so as you can see, we've now got IT can be reached on the following phone number, blah, 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 blah. Okay, nice, simple, easy there. So that's everything from the kind of that side. So this is literally, this actually might have, probably should have mentioned at the start, creating FAQs might have been quite a quick feature deep dive today. Normally we aim to keep them around about 30 to 45 minutes. Obviously, as you can see, it is very simple to set up an FAQ, so it might end up coming a little bit short for today, but I'll do my best to kind of flesh it out with all the information that you need. But so yeah, as I mentioned at the start, the next thing that I want to be talking about really is how to actually edit this FAQ. And I think this is also a good example to show off the different ways that you can set up an FAQ at the same time, because what we've done here, it's not the most exciting. So if we head over into FAQs again, and we'll find that one that we've set up, and I think the easiest way to do it is going to be finding it through our tab. So as you can see, we've got general contact information. This is bringing up everything within that, which is obviously just ours, because we created the tag today. And now I'm going to edit the questions. So as you can see, these are the different questions. I'm not going to edit the questions, sorry, I'm going to edit the answers. And so what I want to do is I want to make this a little bit more fun. So basically, at the moment, I think they can be reached on the following phone number, and then we've just given the phone number. That's okay, but I think there's a better few like more easy, user-friendly ways, because sometimes, say, if you're on a mobile phone, you have to kind of like click copy and then hold it down and click paste. So it's not the best user experience. So I think what I will actually do is I will change this message type. And with the ubisend platform, there's hundreds of different well, not hundreds. There's, as you can see, these on the screen here, kind of think just over 10 or so different message types of how you can respond with FAQs and any kind of message. Each one has their own thing, and we're going to have a separate feature deep dive at some point along the different message types. So again, not going to spend a huge amount of time. If you are a ubisend user, you can jump in and they're all pretty self-explanatory. You'll be able to click along them and see which ones and see which one does what. So obviously video, quite self-explanatory, just adds a video. What I'll also do is in the description of this, once we're finished hosting this live, is I'll throw a link to our documentation, which is where it kind of explains all the different message types and also how to set up an FAQ if you're more of a reader. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to give them a way of getting in touch with IT via that phone number without actually having to, say, actually copy paste or memorize the number, and then they're writing 55 and then they're asking someone, you know, like, you remember 123, I'll remember 456, and you're trying to type it in. It's a pain, it's not very good. So what we'll do is we'll go with action. An action is essentially a button which a user can click to take a desired action of anything. So as you can see, we've got URL, we've got file. These are quite self-explanatory. They obviously let you put a link to a different URL or a file attachment, say such as a PDF. If you wanted, in this case, you really could kind of upload contact information in a PDF form. I'm not sure why you'd ever would do that. Maybe you've got a huge amount of contact information, who knows. But for this, I'm actually going to use the word protocol, which essentially, might just sound a little bit techie there, it's just different ways that people can reach out and get in touch. So these are your click to send an email and click to send a call. And as you can see here, I've got the options of mail to or call to. And these are, as the name say on the tin, mail to essentially means who we're going to email this to, and call to means who we're going to call after the user clicks the button. So if in this example, we're saying they can be reached on the following phone number, and we're going to click call to. And I'll just put call IT. So this is just the text, as you can see, that's appeared up here. So that can be completely customized. I could put give IT a ring, whatever I fancy really. And then we'll enter in our magical phone number that I made up if I can remember what it was. But anyway, so there we are. And now when I click save, this means that whenever anyone clicks this button here, it's going to be opening up the dialing interface on their device and sending out and starting a phone call. This is great for mobile users, and obviously this does also work on desktop as well, where it means that all they have to do is just click that button and it's going to instantly be starting up a phone call direct to the IT department. Really easy to use. This is obviously great as well, particularly useful if you have, say, maybe on-site staff, because they won't have the time and they really do just need it to be as easy as possible if they are out working on site. And also as well, the same for, say, customer service environments. You don't want people a little bit stressed. They really need to get in touch with your customer service team. This way they're getting in touch directly with this exact phone number. And there's obviously a huge amount of use cases, and it just makes things nice and easy. But I have also realized, as I've been talking here, sometimes you might not always just be wanting them to give a phone call. You might want to be using an email address, say specifically in a sales environment. You might obviously want someone to be like, okay, well actually I just want this specific demo request to come through to our demo email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put is I'm going to slightly tweak the message copy, so the actual different kind of text that the message is saying. I'm going to change this so it says, you can get in touch with our IT department using one of the following, oops, spelling everything wrong, methods. And then we've got call to, and this time I'm also going to add a mail to. So whereas the call to is just give us a phone call, this one's going to be send them an email. So I'm just going to call this contact it@example.com. Oh, and I've put that in the wrong place, so I'm actually going to put this in the email place there. That is the wrong place. That was actually just the message label, which users will see. So I'm going to call this email IT. So now we've got give IT a ring, and we've also got email IT, and that is contact it@example.com. So now this means that whenever anyone gets in touch, they're going to be able to be ringing up or sending an email, whichever's easiest for them. So let's just kind of quickly jump into the demo and make sure everything that I've done's worked here. So we'll just jump in and we'll go along the lines with, how do I contact IT? And now, as you can see, you can get in touch with our IT department using one of the following methods: give IT a ring or email IT. So if I just quickly click email IT right now, as you can see, my email account has come up here, and I can now just start composing an email. Hopefully none of you have seen my email address and are now going to be sending me all sorts of different emails. Okay, perfect. So nice and easy there, nice and easy to use. All right, so that kind of covers how to kind of edit an FAQ. As you can see, it was really easy. Just a quick recap. Just head in, find the FAQ you want. You can either kind of search for it by name here, you can search for it by using the different tags. So in this case, it's just general contact information. And I can either say edit the name, so I can call this, at the moment it's contact IT, but I could call it email IT if I wanted to, or anything along those lines. Change the tag. To edit the questions, I just jump in, click edit questions, and then I can just say, change the actual wording of a question. I can add a different question. So in this case, I might say how to email IT. That's a bad example, to be fair. It should probably be something along the lines of, what is IT's email address? And click save. And now we've added a new FAQ. And again, the exact same with the answers. You just click answers, and as you just watched me do over the last couple of minutes, just kind of tweak the messages yourself, maybe tweak the different buttons that you're using. You might be sending to a different URL. Really simple, really easy to use, and really easy to kind of update an FAQ. And so that's kind of it. As I mentioned, this is going to be a little bit more of a quicker episode, but I do have, before you all shoot off, one very important thing that I do just kind of want to quickly discuss with you all. And this is the different, this is the kind of different ways of actually using an FAQ. So the reason that I've kind of picked this contact FAQ example is the fact that with the FAQ here, this is a contact, the whole point of a chatbot is to essentially be saving time, making life a little bit easier. And when you kind of then say giving them different kind of contact information, or you say giving like a phone call or an email, if your chatbot's there, it might be able to help them out specifically, or you might actually want the conversations to take place within the chatbot to save them getting up on the phone to IT or getting on the thing. So I'm going to show you how you can actually link an FAQ up with a chatbot conversation, so it will then trigger a much more in-depth conversation as opposed to just this single answer here. And it's going to be taking the user through a conversation, gathering all the information that they need, why they're ringing out to IT, maybe even depending upon the conversation, it'll be helping them before they've even got in touch with IT. So we're using, again, chatbot as like a first line of defense. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete what we've just been doing here. So we'll just delete all of this hard work here, and we'll kind of slightly tweak the FAQ. So again, I'm still going to be using action, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a postback button. And this is going to be, and I think what I'll do actually is I'll tweak the main message copy here first. So in this time with this use case, someone's tried to reach out to our IT department. And what we're going to do is we're going to be sending them off to a conversation which is going to ask them why they're reaching out to IT, and then it's either going to provide the answer for them, or instead it's actually going to be thinking about it and then saying, okay, this is a complex issue, rather than letting the chatbot deal with this, we'll either pass you to a live chat agent, or we'll pass you on to kind of taking a note and giving contact information for IT. So we'll call this with, what is the reason for contacting IT? And what we'll do is we'll add two different buttons here. So we're going to add the first button, which is going to be a postback, and that is going to be technical support. And then what we'll do, just for the sake of a quick example, is we're just going to add one called other. And then we're going to put technical, and then underscore support here in this field. And with this one, we're going to call it other support. So what this essentially does, as you can see, what I've just highlighted is this technical underscore support. This is called a postback. It essentially works as an internal signpost. So this means when a user clicks this technical support button, they'll be taken to a conversation that is triggered by this kind of this technical underscore support signpost. So if I click save, and what I'll then head over to is I'm just going to have to make a really quick conversation. So I'm just going to start a really quick conversation. There will be a whole different deep dive on creating conversations in the future, but I'm going to go along with the name, which is just going to be technical IT support. Give it a description for the sake of this video. I'm just going to call it the same thing, and I'm not going to give it a tag here, but I'm going to change it so this conversation will trigger when a message equals, and then technical underscore support. Hopefully I've spelled that correctly. So as you can see, what this means is when someone clicks, they've asked the FAQ, how do I get in touch with IT? We're using the chatbot as a first line of defense. So it's going to be saying, why do you want to get in touch? And they're like, technical support. And as soon as they press that technical support button, it's going to take them through to this option here, to this conversation, because that is triggered when someone clicks that button. And what I'll do is, as you can see here, I've got an example message, and I'll just change this to, just for the sake of the example here, IT can help with a range of technical support issues. And then I'll just put something along the lines of, please give more detail regarding your issue, and then click save. And what I'll do is just kind of demonstrate how you have to imagine, just for the sake of time in this video, there'll be quite a few different kind of conversation steps within this conversation. What I'll do is I'll just head back to demo and kind of explain how things have changed. So what I'll do is, as you can see, just in the demo section, I'll just go, I'll put, how do I contact IT? And now we've got, what is the reason for contacting IT? I'm going to click technical support here. And as you can see, it's now triggered that conversation, and the user is now going to be taken through a conversation flow, which is going to be gathering more information about their issue. So this is kind of an example of how you can use an FAQ as the kind of a little bit of a setup, and then using your chatbot in a first line of defense. Before I was editing it, we've kind of showing how you can use an FAQ just for providing a quick instant answer to something. So although we were using contact information, you can imagine this could be something to do with a product. So say a nice blend of these two use cases would be someone asking you about, say, a different kind of baseball bat that you sold. Like, is this metal or is it wood? That's a very bad example. I'm sure they'll be able to tell from the website. But so they'll ask that question. The chatbot's going to be able to say, yes, this is a metal baseball bat. And then if it wants to make a purchase, it can then have a button, just like we had this technical support button here, which is like, would you like to make a purchase? And then they can click that and they'll be taken through to the purchase conversation, where the chatbot's then also going to be able to take payment directly within the widget. Now you'll have to bear with me slightly, as I am just about to have a little bit of a cough here. Oh, my voice is getting a little bit dry as I'm kind of doing this live stream. But as I also mentioned, this has been kind of quite a quick little live stream that we've done today. Just kind of an overview of how FAQs work and just a kind of couple different ways that you can use FAQs. We've kind of covered exactly how to set them up. And as I mentioned as well, we will in the future videos be training these chatbots on the FAQs. So if I just jump back over here into the FAQ section, and then we've got our FAQ that we set up here. What we'll be doing is we'll be looking at training, so you can kind of set up a range of different, so you can train the chatbot on a whole different way that people can ask this same question in our next week's episode. So do be sure to subscribe to the channel. And also as well, don't forget to have a little flick through the channel. We've got a whole range of content out there, and some of it's, we can show off different uses of the platform, talk about a bit more of the theory, talk about actually how to kind of build full chatbots. Alex used to do a live stream, which I've kind of taken over with these deep dives, where he just built an entirely unique chatbot use case, such as say like a restaurant demo chatbot. Really interesting to watch him actually just kind of build. He talks through some of the similar things that I have, different features than as well, and he just kind of talks through his thought process. Really great to watch. In the time being, this has been quite a quick feature deep dive. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see the training. That's going to be a little bit more in depth. You'll see a little bit more of the actual artificial intelligence and machine learning kind of working its magic, and you'll see it all live. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jake, and I'll see you all later.